in senior year to let me work at Panera Bread after I got into college, and they finally let me. And I can't tell you how much it helped me going to college. I think you learn a lot of skills when you're working, when you're earning money for yourself that you can't get with anything else. And you know, I do encourage students to get a part-time job, maybe ninth and 10th grade, so that they can start learning the value of money. But of course, you know, a lot of students don't have time for this. But if they do have time, if they're looking for an extracurricular activity that can really actually help them stand out, then I would encourage them to get a part-time job. These days, you know, students with jobs are very rare. So again, you know, the uniqueness part comes into having a good EA profile. Sports talents are, you know, anything like piano or, you know, some kind of art talent. And finally, we have clubs and volunteering, which you all know about. So how to choose extracurricular activities? This same sort of, you know, flow chart can be used for finding a good, you know, summer extracurricular activity as well. Ninth grade, we really want to make sure students are exploring whatever they want. You know, they don't have to pick a career in ninth grade, or even 12th grade for that matter. I know, you know, a lot of you in the room may have gone to school outside of the US, and so have my parents. And, you know, when they were in 12th grade, they had to decide what they wanted to do for the next 30 years of their life. Are they gonna do the med track? Are they gonna do the engineering track? Are they gonna do the business track? It's not so in the US. You know, they really encourage finding your passion and sticking, you know, with something that you love to do rather than something that you have to do. So again, ninth grade is the best time to explore your interests. Try as many clubs as you want. Even if you don't think you're gonna like it, you know, you might surprise yourself. I talk about consistency. So ninth grade is the best time to start that consistency. You can drop something that you started in ninth grade, but you shouldn't drop something that you shouldn't drop something in 11th grade, basically. So 10th grade is really important in building a foundation. So you may not know if you want to do engineering or medicine, but you know you're interested in science. So, you know, it's important to establish this foundation as early as possible so that we can develop it and really refine it as they go along in the high school career. So 11th grade. 11th grade is really the time to show a passion in something. It could be anything, you know, it could be box making or, you know, or sorry, I meant basket weaving or whatever it is. Just show a passion in something. Find internships, go to competitions, you know, really be at the most elite possible level by the time you're in 11th grade. Finally, 12th grade is mostly about college apps, so it's still important to maintain your extracurricular activities now for that, you know, gentleman who has a student in 12th grade. You know, don't let him or her stop the activities. Oftentimes when you're waitlisted for a school, the colleges want to see that you've continued to do that activity in order to get you off the wait list. So this is what I call the step ladder approach. Here's just a small example of a student, ninth grade. They were involved in very heavy, speech, dance, music, that kind of activity. She was really good in the arts. So, they're good, but they're common, but it's okay because she's just starting. She's just a ninth grader. The next year, she went on to, really compete in a lot of speech tournaments. She ended up getting a lot of awards. She became captain of her dance team at school, and she was a class officer, and she was a co-concert master. So you can see that, it's continuing this theme of rhetoric, of arts, and she's only becoming, a leader in these activities, which really makes her stand out. She's developing her leadership skills as well. And then finally, in 11th grade, she went on to choreograph her own, her own dance. She helped in the stage design. She now tutors and mentors young dancers in her school, and then she independently organized a small chamber group from her orchestra team. So, these are really the signature projects that I'm talking about. It's showing mastery in something. It's showing that she can not only lead a team, but actually, manage and plan all of the activities. So this is really what, a great EA profile should look like by the time you're in 11th and 12th grade. So we call this the stepladder approach, and especially for students that we get at Think Tank Learning who start young, these are the types of things that we help them develop. Okay, so some examples of our student. For students who are interested in engineering, these are some examples of things that they could do. Definitely it's not limited to these things, but they are helpful. Those who are in robotics clubs or science Olympiad or chemistry club, they submitted projects to science fairs. It can be as competitive as Intel or Siemens, or it can be as local as something just within their school or within their city. So competing always means that you're pushing yourself, and colleges see this and they really appreciate this. Cosmos, of course, it's a summer program sponsored by the UCs. They have clusters, so they the students, I think it's between like 20, 30 students or so, they're all in a cluster. They study a particular subject. And I encourage Cosmos for maybe 9th, 10th graders. 11th grade, if you're really aiming for that top tier of schools, Cosmos may or may not be the most helpful when you're a junior, approaching your senior year, because Cosmos doesn't actually have any, set research parts of the summer program. So, if you're aiming for like Stanford, you really should be doing high-level research with a university professor if you can find that opportunity. So I don't actually encourage Cosmos for kids who are, wanting to go to the top schools. Of course, they should do this when they're younger, because it's always a funnel into getting a research internship with the professor. So they should do it, but just maybe not their junior year. Developing more elaborate science fair projects, attending SSP. This is a really, really elite summer program for students interested in engineering and science. And it's, sometimes it's a funnel into Caltech. I had a student who attended SSP last summer, and they applied to 3 early action schools with me: University of Chicago, Caltech, MIT. He ended up getting into all 3. And we've actually never had this happen before. It's pretty rare. So, he went to SSP, he talked about it in his essays, talked very articulately about it, not just about what he did, but what he learned from it. And I think his essays really had a lot to do with getting him into these schools. Okay, bio student. I was a very big science nerd when I was in high school, and so I'm particularly interested in helping kids who are interested in medicine or science. And I do encourage shadowing, but again, this is one of those things like Cosmos, like you want to do it in 9th and 10th grade, but if you're doing it in 11th grade, it may not be enough to get you into those really elite medical programs. I was actually accepted to an accelerated medical program out of high school, and I did research for 3 years at the Cleveland Clinic. I'm originally from Ohio, so I had that chance. But again, I started doing shadowing, but that was like in 8th and 9th grade, and then I progressed from that. So, it's good to shadow, but make sure that you are doing bigger and better things as you go along. Cosmos, Davis YSP, the NIH is another very, very elite program. And it's competitive, but we do have kids every year who get into this. Can we go a little quicker? Humanities student and business student, these are just some examples of what our students have done. I think no matter what you want to do, encourage your kids to read whatever they can. It doesn't have to be the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. It could be like, I don't know, Cosmopolitan magazine, which I used to read, but it's still reading. It's still, encouraging a love for reading early on. And, this is the best way to improve your SAT reading comprehension score. It's not, studying and learning, the tips and the tricks. It's reading. It's reading as much as you can, as early as you can. Community college courses. This is a great way to supplement your summer activities. If you want to boost your GPA, it's really it's a good way to do that. Community college classes, they do get counted for extra, and they can help you finish off high school course requirements early, and it gives you room to pick more interesting classes to take while you're in school. Summer programs for journalism, doing research. So that humanities student was very interested in journalism, and she ended up working with a small independent press here in the Bay Area and published a few magazine articles of her own. A business student, we get a lot of students interested in business. Again, this is a perfect example of when a part-time job, it looks really, really good if you're interested in pursuing business. But they competed in FBLA, DECA competitions. There's a very, very good program at Wharton. It's a summer program for business and leadership. Starting a small business. Again, this is an example of a signature project that we can help students with, but it's really important that they show, initiative and passion for doing this on their own as well. Okay, so I have a few case studies. We have both of these students. One was our student